Welcome back, the founder of the Truth Gazette, Brilyn Hollyhand. Brilyn, welcome to Victory.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. Now, that Chino Valley School Board marched the state education superintendent from the podium as he warned them kids were being put at risk if parents learned of gender transition. The board voted 4-1 that parents must be notified within 3 days of teachers learning a child wants to change anything from pronouns to body parts. Are you surprised by this, what looks to be conservative decision in California?
Look, Greg, I'm surprised that this passed in liberal California, but no, I'm not surprised that parents stood up and spoke out of concern of their child changing their gender and them not being notified. Look, this is happening all across the country in all 50 states, and this is a ripple effect from what we saw a few years ago, these brave parents getting up off the sidelines and speaking out at Virginia school board meetings. And since then, we've seen this, like I said, all across the country. Brave parents like this who are not afraid to speak out and defend my generation is what's saving my generation and generations to come, and we're incredibly grateful.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. The New York Post now cover today says that, quote, phone a friend, as Hunter Biden put his then Vice President dad on the phone with business associates at least 24 times. Joe said he never spoke with Hunter about his business dealings. Hunter told CBS News in 2021 that he spoke to his father, quote, every night. So are we going to get closer to the truth when Devin Archer testifies this week?
Remember on the campaign trail in 2020 when Joe Biden said, quote, never, that's the word he used that you just said, he never spoke with his son Hunter about his business deals? Well, I think this story just proves that Joe Biden is our liar-in-chief, not commander-in-chief, Greg.
Good point. Now, Republican Congressman Jim Banks, to that point, says it's time to impeach President Biden and expunge former President Donald Trump's impeachments. Do you think there's sufficient evidence now for both of these actions?
Absolutely, Greg. I think Joe Biden lied to the American people. Like I said, he tried to weaponize his DOJ to cover it up. He tried to cover up, these business dealings that his son Hunter did. We have video evidence of Hunter Biden committing felonies, literal video evidence. He ordered his DOJ to overlook that and give his son a sweetheart deal. But take Hunter out of the picture. Let's talk about Joe himself. Joe Biden himself used his title as Vice President of the United States to make under-the-table business deals with the Chinese. He doesn't want the American people to know about that, but now we do, thanks to reporting from outlets like the New York Post. Look, we have the majority in the House of Representatives. We need to start impeachment hearings tomorrow.
I think American people would like to see it. We're 1 month away from the first Republican debate. Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott are at or near double digits in polling, but all three are far behind former President Trump. Is this primary race over before it begins, or is it too soon to say?
Look, Ron DeSantis is a friend of mine. I met with him right before he announced his candidacy and sat down and talked about some stuff like this with him. I think he's the best governor in the country, but if he ran his presidential campaign like Vivek Ramaswamy is running his campaign, he would be in the single digits within the margin of error behind Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump's the clear front runner in this race, and everything else is just a race for second place.
Interesting. Now, you stated on the truthgazette.com that the GOP's biggest problem at hand is their lack of winning the youth vote. So you mentioned Vivek Ramaswamy. Do you think any of the current candidates can do that?
Absolutely, yes. I know last time I was on here, I was encouraging former President Trump to get back on traditional social media platforms, and he has since done that. He's back on Instagram, where majority of young first-time voters in my generation are, and he just using that as a perfect example to get his message out there. Speaking of Vivek Ramaswamy, last week he spoke at Turning Point Action Student Conference down in Florida. He was mobbed as soon as he walked in by all of these students begging to get a picture with him. 2 months ago, Vivek had zero name ID. Nobody, much less young people, knew who he was. He could have walked in the room and they would have had no idea who he was. But he's harnessed his social media platform to get his message out specifically to my generation, and it's paying off. Okay, so social media seems to be the key with the younger generation. Remind us where we can follow you and your reporting. Absolutely. You can go to my website, thetruthgazette.com. That's thetruthgazette.com. Or follow me all across social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Brilyn Hollyhand. That's at Brilyn Hollyhand. Thanks for having me, Greg. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brilyn. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Fior?
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken